Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Taylor Combolzier, a mining analyst at Red Cloud Securities. Today's webinar features Abcourt Mines, which is a gold developer and exploration company with strategically located properties in northwestern Quebec. Abcourt owns the Sleeping Giant mill and mine, where it is concentrating its activities. The company plans to build the lower area of the mine to access the 2019 reserves and plans to rehabilitate the upper areas to add more resources. The company also plans to advance and update resource estimates at the Discovery-Flordin deposits and to add more ounces available near the Sleeping Giant mill. Today, I have with me on the webinar Pascal Hamelin, who's the president and CEO at Abcourt. The format of today's webinar will be comprised of two parts. In the first part, Pascal will provide an introduction to Abcourt, and then in the second, we'll take your questions live. So please send in your questions using the chat function, and we'll get to as many as we can. And I'll note that you can type them in at any point throughout the presentation. So to start, we'll handle the disclosures and then get into it. So for Abcourt Mines, there may be some forward-looking statements made on this call. I would direct listeners to the cautionary note on page 2 of the Abcourt corporate presentations located on the company's website. For Red Cloud Securities, I would highlight that this webinar is for information purposes only and should not be considered a solicitation to purchase or sell securities or a recommendation to buy or sell securities. And we note that this call does not take into account the particular situation or needs of individual investors. Participants should rely on their own investigations and seek their own professional advice before investment. So now I'll turn it over to Pascal to update you on Abcourt and what investors have to look forward to with the company.
Well, thank you, Taylor. Again, I'm Pascal Hamelin, President and CEO of Abcourt Mine. We're based in Northwest Quebec. Our corporate office is in Rouyn-Noranda, and all our assets are in Quebec, and more specifically in the Abitibi region. So today's topic is going to be around really the 2022 goal for Abcourt Mine, which is the Sleeping Giant mine and mill. So like Taylor said, there will be some forward-looking statement today. I invite you to read that at your leisure. So why invest in Abcourt? Well, Abcourt, we have a large strategic land holding in the Abitibi camp. We have 2 mines, 1 mill, and mini exploration project, over 500 square kilometer of exploration land with 14 deposit with advanced stage exploration. And we also have base metal deposit, which is the Abcourt Barview, which is at the feasibility stage. It's a zinc deposit about 60 kilometers north of Val-d'Or. So how do we create value? Well, it's by pushing the of course the Sleeping Giant, but also by consolidating the camp. We saw an opportunity this spring with Pershimx, which owns a nice little deposit just south of the Sleeping Giant mill. So we made a proposal to Pershimx, and that transaction is, we have signed an LOI, and right now we're in the due diligence phase towards a definitive agreement. And also, like I mentioned, the Sleeping Giant mine, we have reserve. We have 85,000 ounces of reserve today from a 2019 feasibility that was completed by Paul Bonneville and Jean-Pierre Bérubé, which are both independent to the company. Right now, we're mandated Innovexplo from Val-d'Or to do a detailed 3D model to assist our technical people in finding more resource and reserve in that mine. And we're operators, so the mill's in operation right now, fully permitted. We generated cash flow in 2021. We recently announced that we're gonna take a pause at Sleeping Giant and Elder in order to work the geology and engineering. But the mill is producing right now, and we're pouring gold. So it's a short break, but it's to better position the company with the future forecast, as far as the gold from Sleeping Giant. Management team, myself, I joined the company in April. Over 30 years of mining experience, 16 years in the Sudbury Basin, and the last 15 over in the Quebec camp. I'm based in Val-d'Or, and I've been working with many juniors in the area. Christine Lefebvre, veteran CFO with Abcourt since 7 years. Guillaume Leblanc, our mine manager, is a mining veteran with over 20 years of conventional mining. And Mario Blanchette just joined us. He's got over 30 years of mining engineering experience, and he worked at Sleeping Giant before, so he knows the deposit very well. The board of directors consists of a well-versed background. We have geologists, we have mining engineers, we have business people, we have accountants, and we have lawyers. So good blend of talent within the board of directors. Mr. Haynes and Mr. Mestrellet, between the two of them, owns close to 36% of the share of the company. These two individuals are the two largest shareholders. So the inside, like the board has skin in the game. So our property, all in Quebec, all within trucking distance from our Sleeping Giant mill. The Sleeping Giant mill is where you see the number 1. This is where our focus is in the next little while, is to develop that camp, develop the lower portion of the Sleeping Giant mine, so we can process the material at the Sleeping Giant mill. Like I said, the mill is operating as we speak. It's processing gold from the Elder mine and the development mineralization from the Sleeping Giant mine. So there is activities right now at both sites, and right now the focus is on the geology and engineering at the Sleeping Giant. In parallel to that, you see number 5 and number 6. Those are, number 5 is the Discovery deposit, and number 6 is the Flordin. So these two deposits, we're going to do a resource update and then advance through all the different phases to have these two deposits ready when 5-6 years from now. You got to start now in order to have these deposits ready by then. Also, we have zinc deposit. This is number 3 and number 4. This is where we have base metal asset that could be used to increase the value of the company. Right now, the market doesn't recognize value with these two deposits. So the idea here is to either sell them or spin them out into another company. We also in the middle of a transaction with Perchimex. Perchimex is also Quebec focused. The Coville property, where lies the Pershing Manitou deposit, is just south of the Sleeping Giant mill. Through the back road here, it's about 150 kilometers. So very easy to truck to site. And the resource estimate at Pershing Manitou shows it's got potential for high grade underground deposit. So the Sleeping Giant mine, currently accessible underground. We're doing rehab. The focus is on the, like I mentioned, geology engineering, also to increase the capacity for the lodging the workers. Presently, there is only a small lodging area for workers, and for the long term, I would say good operation, you need to have a sleep camp that can accommodate over 100 workers. That way you can attract talent from across the region, not just Amos. Amos is it's a good place to start from, but it would be hard to find all the good workers from Amos. So we need to also attract talent from Val-d'Or, Rouen, La Sarre, Lebel-sur-Quivillon. So that's why we're planning on building the sleep camp. The mill's fully permitted, 700 tons a day mill. The recovery is excellent. We're using carbon and pulp. The recovery year to date is over 95%. So it's a very good operating mill. and the infrastructure all in excellent shape. So historically, Sleeping Giant was a very high-grade mine, narrow vein, high-grade, over 10 grams, with a very good recovery rate, over 96%. Right now, the goal is to develop the lower area of the mine to access the reserve, the 85,000 ounces, but also at the same time worked on the geology and engineering on the upper areas to add more resource and add more years to the life of mine. Excellent infrastructure in place, like I mentioned, 700 tons a day. Substation, we're right on the power grid, tailing facility in place, and we're only 80 kilometers from the city of Amos. So trucking, very easy for the workers to commute. It's not a fly-in, fly-out. It will be drive in, drive out with a sleep camp. So that's what we see for the future of the Sleeping Giant mine. After Sleeping Giant mine, that's why we were working on the Discovery and Flordin deposit, which is nearby the mill. So it's going to add more ounces to the camp and extend the life of the area. Low cost to restart Sleeping Giant. When we did the feasibility in 2019, the capex was less than 4 million just to restart. So let's assume the inflation today, we're looking at probably less than 6 million for it to restart. And we're not talking years before production, we're talking months. So that's why we think we can accelerate, we can focus on Sleeping Giant to get that quick. And also it's got exploration potential. We have many veins. Historically, Abcourt was focusing on the 30 and 20 zone. And we believe on this longitudinal, it's hard to show, but it's got a folding, and to the south and to the west we could have something parallel to similar to the 20 and the 30 zone. The reserve that we have right now are presently in this area here, but we believe that with some geology work, that's why we're doing the 3D model, we can add more resources easily in the upper area of the mine. Now, Discovery-Flordin, those two deposits were first discovered in the 80s. Abcourt had those two deposits for a while. Historical resource. Discovery is narrow vein underground deposit, so you're looking at about 6 grams, whereas Flordin is open pit potential and underground. The surface grade for open pit would be around 1.6. and the underground would be between 4.5 and 5 grams. So that's what we're looking at for Flordin discovery. We're going to do the resource update in 2022, and then following that, there will probably be recommendation for additional drilling to push to advance these two deposits to a PEA level. But combined between the two, Flordin Discovery, we're looking at over 800,000 ounces of historical resource within trucking distance from the mill. So that's why we're really anxious to have this updated and have them brought to 2022 standards. Now, Pershimex, back in June, we made an offer to Pershimex to acquire them. It's going through the due diligence phase right now. Our goal is to reach a definitive agreement by the end of the month and obtain shareholder approval by the end of September from the Pershimex shareholder. The way it's being arranged, Abcourt doesn't need to solicit vote for the shareholder on this transaction. It's only the Pershimex shareholders. That will save money for our shareholder, and it will accelerate the acquisition process. So So in essence, we're acquiring a good deposit, Pershing Many 2. Pershing Mix got low risk, cash in hand, and no debt. So that's also a positive. And we're adding other exploration potential with the Pershing Mix deposit. Now, for the Pershing Mix shareholders, what's their advantage? Well, they finally get a mill to process the material, and also possibility to raise future exploration money for Pershing Many 2 at a higher share price. So combined, we're looking at about 30 million market cap between the two. So it's going to be a good thing for both shareholders, and it reduced the risk for Pershing Mix, and for us, we're getting more exploration assets in our portfolio. Pershing Mix, like I mentioned, the COVID project is south of the Sleeping Giant, but there's other deposit belonging to Pershing Mix right on the Cadillac Fault. So Malartic Projects is near the Canadian Malartic mine belonging to Agnico Yamana. And we have other deposits further east of Val-d'Or. The Corville property's got a 43-101. That was disclosed in November 2021. We're looking at 9,000 tons at 6.9. But keep in mind, this is very early stage. There's very little drilling done on that property. So there's a lot of room for it to increase these ounces. Right now, the Pershing Mix team is going through the permitting phase to obtain a 5,000 ton bulk sample. That bulk sample could generate immediate cash to Pershing Mix, and then for us at Abcourt, we already have an agreement to have this 5,000 ton to be processed at Sleeping Giant. So it's a natural synergy between the two. So now to go back. So our goal in 2022: advance the Sleeping Giant mine, get the rehabilitation completed, and start the production at Sleeping Giant. Update the resource at Discovery-Flordin, and then do exploration, of course, around the Sleeping Giant mine. Complete the acquisition of Pershing Mix, and also spin out all the base metal asset into something that's 100% owned by Abcourt. So to give value to those base metal deposits. So right now we're a significant discount to our peers in the street. So there's room for us to go up. And it's probably a good time right now to consider taking a position in Abcourt because of that. So why Abcourt? Again, large portfolio in Quebec. We're creating value by the acquisition of Pershing Mix. We're an emerging gold producer. We have a mill fully permitted, and we're going to have short-term material in the short term being processed at that Sleeping Giant mill, the Sleeping Giant mine. And then longer term, you could have the Pershing Many 2, you could have Discovery-Flordin. So a lot of potential to grow this company. So on this, I'll open the mic for questions.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Pascal. So yeah, we'll now turn to the Q&A portion of the webinar. And just a reminder to everybody on the line that you can type in your questions at any point now. So to start off, I know you touched on a little bit in the presentation, just in terms of the large portfolio that you have. I guess maybe just go through kind of what the plan is to deal with all those assets. I guess, is there a strategic view underway? What are some of the potential ways that you could kind of either monetize them or bring them into the forefront?
Yeah, well, we short term, our focus is Sleeping Giant. That's why we're doing the 3D model. We're bringing this deposit from polygonal block model to a 3D model using leapfrog, modern techniques, so the engineers and the geologists have better tools to identify new zones. So Sleeping Giant is one. Discovery-Flordin, which is trucking distance. We're going to do the resource update on that deposit. Same thing, 3D model. We're going to bring this to 2022. Same thing for Pershing Many 2. So those are the three that, will be the focus for us and / Pershimex. Now, outside our portfolio, there's other deposit in the camp that needs to either build a mill or talk to us. We have the former Agnico Eagle mine, Eagle Mine and Telbel in the former town of Jutel. I say former because the town was it was dismantled back in the mid 90s. So there's nothing left there except the two deposit. So a company called Maple Gold optioned those deposit from Agnico Eagle. So Maple Gold is one. You got the Dewey property north of Sleeping Giant, about I would say 60 kilometers north of Sleeping Giant, also belonging to Maple Gold. And we have the Fenelon deposit from Wallbridge Mining. Actually, Wallbridge Mining did a bulk sample over at Sleeping Giant back then, back in 20, I don't have the exact date, but I believe it's like 2018, 2019. So the Fenelon belonging to Wallbridge. So all these deposits, good grade, and it's going to require diamond drilling, of course, but they're all within the camp of the Sleeping Giant mill.
Okay. And we do have a couple questions just following up on Sleeping Giant here. One person's wondering, for the near term, how many tons per day and at what grade will be extracted, and then also in the medium term.
Okay, in the short term, we're looking at right now we're mining very little, like maybe 100 ounces a week from the Sleeping Giant. The reason is the focus is on geology and engineering. Right now, we took a pause with the miners. The miners were going blinds on the upper levels. The geologists were in the same drift as the miners. That doesn't work. You're going to give some time for the geologists to assess all the drill core, look at the face, look at the back. You cannot have the miners in the same drift. You can't do that. So we took a pause on the development to better get the geologists a little bit more months ahead. I would say in the fall, late fall, we could be in a position to resume the development of the Sleeping Giant mine. For the sleep camp, we have two phases. The first phase, we would put temporary accommodation at the site itself, so we can connect to the septic system and the potable water system of the mine. The boat system has excess capacity, so we're going to put temporary facility at the site. But for long term, it's not really appealing to workers to be sleeping during the day beside an industrial site. You don't have the calm that you need to sleep during the day for the night shift workers. So we're looking at a more permanent camp outside the property, but not very far, like a few kilometers only. So that's the long term. But in the short term, we can start the development and some production at the Sleeping Giant as early as the fall 2022.
Okay, and then in terms of any kind of resource or reserve update, is there any timeline on that? And as well, kind of, that feeding into potentially an updated technical report. I know right now a question we often get is in terms of what kind of inflation you're seeing. Obviously, there's been some, I assume, for costs since the technical report in 2019.
Yeah, there of course, yeah, there was inflation between since 2019 on the cost side, but also on the revenue side. The gold went up since 2019. So to me, in Canadian dollars, I think it will be like the margin will be close to the same between the OPEX and the revenue per ounces. So I would say it's probably fair to say close to $1,000 an ounce margin. So you're looking at probably an OPEX. If I look at other mines where I operated before, narrow vein mining, you're probably looking at about $250 a ton today. And with depending on the grade, you would be anywhere between $1,000 and $1,300 an ounce. So this is all in CAD. So at 2,300 Canadian, you're looking at good margins. That's what I'm expecting.
Okay.
The resource update, I would say the resource would be in the fall. The reserve, we already have reserve from 2019. So yeah, we could do a reserve update, but with the right financial partner, you could get into production. You already have reserve. So it's going to be a repeat. So you update the cost and then you move on. The reserve, typically takes a good 6 months after the resources are out, especially for the new areas. So I would say spring 2023 for reserve, but I'm not going to wait that long to start producing. I'm fully permitted. I don't need to obtain mining lease. The reserve would be more for the investing community than for production decision.
Right. Okay. And then I guess, okay, with that then, what are your production goals for future years down the road with Sleeping Giant?
Pardon me?
What is your production goal for future years?
Probably close to, for Sleeping Giant, I can see a mine producing 25,000 ounces a year. And then as we, from the reserve that we have from 2019, and as we identify new zone, then you could, in the best years in the past, Sleeping Giant was able to produce over 80,000 ounces a year. But we have some discovery to make to get up to 80,000 ounces a year. But it's fair to say 25 with the reserve that we have.
Okay. And then in terms of the mill, I guess, how much would that occupy of the throughput capacity that you have right now? And how much would be left over to potentially bring in other material from the potential surrounding projects? Good
question. Right now, with the feasibility, we're looking at probably a third of the mill capacity. So that will leave room for internal growth from the Sleeping Giant mine. That's why I'm going to push for exploration within a kilometer around the mine, around the headframe. That's the best place to find ounces within that radius around the headframe. So that's where the focus is going to be first. Our goal is going to be to get that mine up to over 50,000 ounces a year. It will take exploration. It will take a lot of technical work, but I think it can be done. With over 50,000 ounces a year, I would say the mill would be probably close to 3/4 capacity. So then it would be, either let's say we get a significant amount of resource outside the Sleeping Giant mine, then we would have the nice problem to assess if we increase the mill capacity. But there's a lot of hurdles before getting there. I would say the focus first is to increase the life of mine at Sleeping Giant, get more ounces in the book, and then get a stable cost, stable revenue. Once the Sleeping Giant is humming, then you can look at either increasing mill capacity or we're putting the next project in the queue. You know, we're going to do the trade analysis. You know, between investing more today or waiting 2 or 3 years, 4 years for the next deposit to come in.
Right. Okay. Perfect. We have another question here, just wondering how many geologists and engineers are working on site right now at Sleeping Giant.
Okay, right now we have one technologist, one geology technologist. We're in discussion with 2 former geologists at Sleeping Giant to come back. I would say it's a matter of days before they come back. We have one mining engineer at the site right now, Mario, which and then the rest is the mill people and the underground staff.
Okay. We have another one here. We just have somebody wondering if you have some kind of document that lists all of your assets that would be available for investors. If you have a document like that, that would be available.
Well, we have on CEDAR, we have the various technical report. On our website, of course, the technical reports. Some are only in French, sorry, but but some are bilingual. Not bilingual, but we have the technical report in English. That's where the website and CEDAR are the place to find the data.
Yep, perfect. Okay, and then you know, right, we've talked a bit about kind of the plans that you have right now and some of the work that's ongoing. Maybe just talk a little a little bit about the right now kind of your financial position and what you have runway to do, and kind of what's on tap in the next little bit.
Okay. Well, everybody can read the financial statement from March 31st. They were not pretty. Accounts payable were high for a company our size. So when I came in, that's why I made the decision to shut down the Elder mine. The Elder mine was a mine producing below 4 grams. It was being trucked over 200 kilometers. It was draining the energy from management, from Abcourt management. So it was very clear to me that the next year, Elder was not going to be a flagship. You know, it's not going to be the driver for Abcourt. So I put the Elder mine on care and maintenance. Fortunately, we have a lot of stockpile. So right now we announced a collective massive layoff at Elder, but we're still producing. The mill's still running. So right now we're processing the material from Elder and Sleeping Giant. We're skipping right now at Sleeping Giant. And Elder, we're going to be, right now the mill is on shutdown for a week. It's going to resume next week. And then when we resume the milling at Sleeping Giant, we're going to start hauling material again from Elder. So Elder's got, still has inventory on the ground of 4 gram material. That's a typical grade, you know, between 3.8 and 4 grams. That's the typical grade from Elder. So we're going to ship that to the mill, keep processing material until we run out. That's for Elder. For the Sleeping Giant mine, right now we're still hoisting material that were blasted before. We took a pause on the development and mining to give room, to give more time for the geologists, especially Innovexplode geologists. They're not working at the site, they're off site, but there's a team of 3 to 4 geologists working on the resource model for Abcourt. There's the geology manager for Innovexplode, I know him very well. We worked together in the past, so he knows narrow vein mining. He's been around the area for over 25 years. So I'm very confident we're going to have a very good model to work from. And by then, we're going to have the mine fully staffed with geologists at the site.
Okay. And in terms of the Elder mine, I guess what are the options in the future for that? Is there geological potential that could be further explored at some point in the future, or is it something that is really on the back burner for the foreseeable future for you?
No, for 2022, our focus is going to be at Sleeping Giant.
Mm.
For a company our size, you cannot chase 2 or 3 rabbits. You got to focus on one. So we're going to be after Sleeping Giant. We're going to get that one up and running for good. Elder's got potential to the south, where there's a Smoky Creek fault, and there's another fault. What's the name of it? Silidor. There's the former Silidor mine from Noranda that was just southeast of the Elder mine. So the Elder, we're dealing with the subhorizontal part of the deposit, but as it get close to the fault, we're suspecting that it's going subvertical. So that area has never been drilled. So it's a matter of making arrangement with the surface owner and test the theory from the geologist. So the potential at Elder is to the south. There is still resource. The issue, all not just Abcourt, all the gold deposit in the Noranda camp is there's no mill in the camp. There's big smelter, the Glencore smelter, but they won't take gold field from feed from a small gold mine. So you got Falco, you got us, you got Yalbo, you got Maritime Resource. I would say there's 5-6 deposit in the camp but no mill. So as long as there's no mill in that camp, it's going to be an issue. People will have to truck material to a distant mill. So Elder, we're going to look at exploring subvertical structure where you could mine at a cheaper cost, whereas in a not too distant future, you could make money at 4 grams, hauling 200 kilometers. In the meantime, it's going to be a geology project.
Right. Okay. And so that clearly emphasizes the benefit of having that mill at Sleeping Giant there. And it really makes it a compelling.
Exactly. Having material right at the site, or within, I would say 150 kilometers, it makes it very compelling, especially when you have grade over 6 grams.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay, and then just a question that came in on the topic of the mill. Are there any need for upgrades or capital spend at the mill as of right now?
There will always be maintenance capex. Let's say change liners, but not significant. I would say less than $1.5–2 million max. The mill is operating right now. So, of course, you may want to say, okay, we're going to bring the mill, we're going to add technology to the mill. You don't have to do that on day one. Day one, the mill's running. So you could say, well, we're going to invest in technology to save to increase productivity or whatever. Maybe on month number 6 or month 12. It could be moved to sustaining capital. But as far as immediate capital to the mill, no. The tailing facility is a different story. Tailing facility, you're going to invest every year. You're going to do work on your tailing facility every year, and that's capital money. But we're not talking significant amount because the tailing facility is already permitted, and we're already depositing pulp in the tailing facility. But this year we have to do work in the tailings. Next year, we're going to do, like every mining company that has tailings, you're going to do a little bit of work every year. But we're not talking major amount. We're talking $200,000–300,000 on the tailing side.
Right. Okay. Perfect. So I think we're getting out of questions here. So maybe we'll just wrap up, and I'll give you kind of the final word if you have any final thoughts for investors to consider before we sign off? I'll leave it to you.
Okay, well, thanks, Taylor. What Abcourt mine, it wasn't well known. We're a gold producer, small gold producer, but it's got potential to grow. We have an operating mill, excellent infrastructure, ounces in the ground right there at the site, fully permitted to extract. We're going through the geology engineering, detail engineering geology for a sleeping giant. And then it's going to start in the next 6 months. So you're looking at a small gold producer that will go in production in the short term with significant upside with discovery around the sleeping giant mine, but also with other deposit within trucking distance from the mill. So on that, I'd like to thank you, Taylor, for inviting me. And it was great to present to the community.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Pascal. Thanks for presenting Abcourt Mines today and hosting the webinar with Red Cloud Securities. And thank you to everybody on the line for tuning in with us.